and welcome to the Motorsport Coaching Podcast, sponsored by MotiV8 Training Management. This is a podcast where we talk to drivers and industry experts to help you maximize your performances on and off the track. Let's get started with today's show. Hi guys, welcome to episode 94 of the Motorsport Coaching Podcast. I am your host, Belinda Risley, and this week I'm joined by former Olympic swimmer David Karasek, who has now over the last 3 years been studying the world of sports psychology. He started his business, The Tribe of Athletes, and he's got some fantastic golden nuggets for you in today's show. If you are enjoying these shows, we'd really appreciate it if you could head over to your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review to go in the draw for our monthly prizes, which will be starting again from the 1st of July. So the fourth Thursday of every month, we'll announce those winners. I hope you enjoy the show. Hey, Dave. Well, welcome to the Motorsport Coaching Podcast.
Thanks for having me, Belinda. It's good to be here.
Well, today, guys, I'm joined by sports psychologist David Karasek. Is that right?
Yeah.
I say it right. Don't worry, the audience knows that I'm really bad at name pronunciation, so they would just laugh with me anyway. But
yeah, sounds familiar. Hey.
Sounds familiar. Fantastic. Well, welcome to the show. So you're a sports psychologist. How'd you get into that? Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah. So look, I was a swimmer when I was younger, and so my highlight was the Olympic Games 2012. But I kind of went through life very unaware of what was going on. Everything was kind of an autopilot. I didn't feel, I didn't know how powerful our mind is, and that we literally can create our own environment and like the career and the life that we love. Because what I always encourage and people to think about is that look, this water bottle, for example, right? This is something that existed in somebody's mind as an idea, as a thought, just a thought first. And with time, it moved into actual physical form. The microphone here, it's something that existed as a thought only first in the mind. And with time, it moved into physical form. And when we're speaking about sports, Michael Jordan, for example, he had a dream to be the best basketball player. It was just a thought, an idea. And with time, he actually moved it into physical form. So animals can't do that. We can literally create, look around. Everything that's not green and grown by Mother Nature we created that shit with our mind, right? So it's fascinating. And I never knew about that. So, there was a guy about 3 years ago, there's a guy who's starting to wake me up to this. And I found it so fascinating. And I got into the topic. It's like, okay, this is what I want to be doing for the rest of my life. And that's what I've been doing.
So as a swimmer, were you not privy to it even 9 years ago?
Yeah. You read these quotes, like if your dream is not big enough, or if your dream doesn't scare you, it's not big enough, right? And you're like, oh yeah, it sounds good. Or never give up and, always prevail. And yeah, it sounds good. But I didn't really know what that means. I didn't know what it really meant. Like I read these quotes, but it didn't really make sense to me. Like it makes sense on a superficial level, but not like really, really what that means. And I was always wondering, why does it work for these people? Why doesn't it work for me? And all, but I didn't come to any conclusions until I started to learn about how the mind works. Because it's like it's a science behind it. There's laws, just like gravity. We learn, think of a baby or a cliff that goes 100 meters down. If you and I stand on the cliff, we know if we take the next step, we're going to die because we're going to fall, we're going to die. But think of a baby that's like crawling there. That will continue to go over the cliff and it will die because it's not aware of what gravity is yet. So we had to learn that. And what I'm saying is there is more laws that the universe operates in, like the law of attraction and these things. And we have to learn about them because they're in school. They don't teach us about, how to deal with relationships. They don't teach us about confidence. They don't teach us about how to make money. And so they also didn't teach us about these laws. And we have to take time and learn about them. And that's, it's a fascinating topic,
So, but as an athlete yourself, did you not do any sort of mental training back there? So you honestly feel like over the last 9 years, 3 years for yourself, that you kind of learned it and switched on. Is that something that you wish that you did know back in 2012?
Yeah, and even before that. I mean, I don't have regrets because I did the best that I could to my abilities with what I knew and who I was around, right? So I don't have regrets, but if I could go back in time this is definitely the one thing that I would say, like, well, you know, it would be really cool if somebody told me about this, and then I could make a choice as like, okay, I want to investigate that. Because I always say, like, don't believe me, just try it on for size. You know, see if it fits you, see how you feel, and if it makes you feel good, if you're loving it, if it resonates, then dig deeper. And if you don't, then, you know, leave it. But I would wish I had that choice when I was younger, because I'm sure my career would have gone differently, for sure.
Well, David, you sound very passionate about sports psychologists. For those that don't really know or understand what sports psychologist is, can you explain a little bit further?
Yeah. So I think what, for me, what it is to create the sports career of your dreams. It's not about fixing yourself. You know, a lot of people think that, oh, I need to see a sports psychologist because I have a problem, because I doubt myself and something is not going well. And the problem with that is, because I know athletes, they've been seeing a sports psychologist every week for 8 years and nothing has changed. And the reason is they keep focusing on what's not working. So they come and they operate under the idea that there's something wrong with them and that I got to fix something. But it's not true. You know, when we run trainings and we're sharing in groups of athletes, of professional athletes, you know, when the people share and start to open up, you realize, wow, everybody has these problems. Everybody has worth issues. Everybody has I'm not good enough feelings. Everybody has, even at the Olympic champion level. So like when you realize that, you just say, okay, it's absolutely normal. We all have these limiting beliefs because they just come from, you know, from the past, and it's okay. And I see it now. And now I make a choice and I focus on what I want to create. I focus on where I want to go, and I don't worry about the other, because we all have it. And so that's what I do with my athletes, right? Is like really focusing on and becoming clear on what the heart wants. Where do I want to go with my sports career? And, you know, and then going from there. But it's not about fixing anything, because there's nothing wrong with the athletes. It's just, you know.
So it's more like around kind of like the goal setting side of things, and like writing down those objections and helping them achieve them, in coming from more of a positive mindset as opposed to, yes, what's wrong with me?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, focus all the energy on what you want and don't waste the energy on what you don't want. And I guess similarly, you could say, you know, like, don't look at the circumstances. Don't give the circumstances the energy, but focus on what you can do, right? And that's also something I'm aware is very cliche, and we heard it 1,000 times, but that would be one of the things that I read when I was young. It's like, yeah, okay, but what does that mean? And it was just kind of like slipped my mind, right? But now I understand what that means. It's like we literally create everything in life, and the second you take full responsibility for that, you become very, very powerful, and that's a good thing.
And so you work with a range of athletes. What kind of sports do they perform in?
Yeah, so we have a lot of, you know, you see the tennis racket in the back. So we have a lot of tennis players. We have football players. We have fighters. No motorsport so far. No motorsport.
So far, though, that's the point. So far. And so do you feel like there's a difference when it comes to mindset when it's an individual sport versus a team sport? Motorsports is quite a weird sport in the sense that it is a driver sport, but obviously it's a team environment, and I think you're only as good as the team around you. So is there much of a difference, or have you worked with many teams versus individuals and seen any differences within?
Yeah, so, you know, I think, yeah, there is differences, but in the end, like, look, for swimming, for example, you know, when I was swimming in Switzerland, I always thought, okay, it's an individual sport, because this is kind of how it's done here. You know, you go to a competition, you win a medal for yourself, you kind of train for your own goals and so on. And then I got to the United States for college, and everything changed. You score only for the university team, right? Everything you do is for the team. And there's like 70 people on the team that are all pulling towards the same direction, the same goal. And all of a sudden it became a team sport. And my performance jumped because of that. Because all of a sudden wow, there's something bigger than just me. And so yeah, there is a difference. And also, like, if you're playing in a team sport, it's like, okay, if somebody it's out of your control. right? You can lose, you can play the best game of your career, and you can lose the match because somebody else is basically. But that's part of it, and so it's a bit more complex when there's a team involved. But it's also, I'm always saying, if you have the middle line here, you have small problems. It's an opportunity for, you have small opportunity. If you have a big ass problem, you have like the opportunity is huge. And so, you can learn so much. How do you feel about this in motorsports and all that?
As I said, it's definitely like it is a team sport. It's quite a unique sport in the sense that there's the driver and there's the race team. I'm a big believer and promoter of everybody needs to be training. Everybody needs to be on board. Like, it shouldn't just be the driver training. The whole team should be going to the gym. The whole team should be doing sports psychology or counseling sessions or just team building exercises. Like, you certainly want everybody to be on the same page and not, any personality conflicts. I think it's important that they do some sort of personality, mind work within the team before starting. It is a business. I'm a big believer and a big promoter of motorsport is a business. And so therefore everybody has to be on the same team. When you're recruiting for a mechanic, the engineer, everybody has to gel to work together to make sure this driver gets onto the podium or wins the race or finishes the race, whatever their objective is. But it no longer becomes about the driver and the ability. Yes, that plays a part, yes, it obviously depends on what category that you're racing. We've got 12 hours, endurance events, short sprints. So yes, there's a variance of difficulties and issues that can occur, but as long as everybody's working to the same objective of getting onto that podium, and everybody's in it together, like we are one team, we're all doing it. And I feel like as you go through the ranks of motorsports, that does change. And I think people do struggle a little bit. First of all, they start generally at karting. So it's a family sport. There's mum, that hater, the chauffeur, the timekeeper, the washer of the clothes, there's mum for the moral support, and there's dad that's, that ideally, I know that sounds derogative, I'm sure that there's different role plays, but anyway, and then they do move up the ranks, and then they do generally go into a team unless they elect to run as a privateer, but then they become involved with someone who's a team owner, and they're hiring a car, and they have to pay if they crash it, and there's more expenses. And so as they go up through the ranks, that responsibility and the parents start to drift off more as higher that they go, and they get more and more involved in that team environment. And if the child is an introvert, they need to have that mental skill set to be able to adapt to people's personalities, to fall in within the team. But I think that that's a downfall on our motorsport industry here in Australia, that, we don't do enough about that. Again, it's like going from job to job. You're going to start to work with a new team, and they haven't really said, hey, this is Sarah and this is her role and this is what she does. And this is Bob and he's going to be an engineer and he's a mechanic. And he's going off the disc personality, he's a D. Or anything like that. And so working out where people have to work. And I think that a lot of drivers do lose opportunities or don't take up opportunities because they don't gel with the team on a testing day or, during a series. And, they might pack up and take their sponsors with them, or they might even just give up the sport altogether. But I think it's very important. And I think that we fail at the system, but I think there's a lot more that business owners of race teams could potentially do to gel that team environment.
See, thanks for sharing that. See, I knew I can learn from you. I knew it. See, very interesting insights how it works in the motorsport industry. Yeah, very good. Thank you.
No worries.
Yeah.
It's just my little rant about the sport. So obviously sports psychology is about getting that competitive edge, as we said. It's about just keeping focus, I guess for me, using pun, on that finish line. Do you have any strategies of tips of people that really just starting out and, like you said, it's not always about focusing on the negatives. One thing that I provide my drivers is like a race report for them to fill out at the end of every race meet. And it could be, 3 things that you're grateful for, but it all could three things that you made a mistake about, and those kind of things of like what did you learn and what can you implement and what do you need to go learn more about. So I think there's 5 basic questions on this sheet that's in a book for them to go and do to analyze a race meeting, but not always in a negative, not always, hey, you had a crap weekend, now fill in this race report. I want them to fill it in being positives as well. How much of a difference does that make to a driver, having that insight of, hey, I actually came here, or I went to that race meeting, or I played this tournament and I did this and that's what I learned, or, I succeeded here or I failed there, but now I've come here with that kind of learning basis.
Yeah. So, what you're saying, it's very good. I mean, it always helps to be aware of where you are. And I love that you're saying what you're learning, right? Because look, the reason why do we set goals in the first place is not to get stuff. It's not to win championships, to win races. It's to grow. We want to grow and become the person that we are, because, like, sport is just one part of our lives, but it's actually really beautiful because we're kind of on the playground and we're playing a game and we can learn so much for the rest of life, right? So what I tell my athletes is that, and, I've learned that from my mentors, is that what we're creating, we want to be kind of separate from what we're creating. We don't want to be eluded by the success that we're having, and we don't want to be fooled by the failure that we're experiencing, because it doesn't mean anything about you and your worth as a person. You're not a better person when you know how to cook. You're not a better person if you know how to drive a car. It's about the learning. So what I see that with kids a lot is that when they're overly obsessed with like winning, especially at a young age, it's actually quite counterproductive because they're so focused on winning instead of learning. So that's why I loved when you were saying, what am I learning? Because, you're going to be in your prime when you're a bit older, right? Because now it's all about the learning. And I'm saying, like in tennis also, if you're losing games, so what? If you're losing and you're learning, and learning is a choice. If you make that choice and you look at, okay, I lost, but what am I learning? If you continue to do that, you're going to be the best player, the best racer. Like, there's no other way. And if you look at like all these, famous athletes, is like they all had their downs. They were crying on the pitch, and like even the biggest names, but nobody remembers them for that. They remember them for all the great stuff that they did, but they went through the whole, right? So focus on learning. That is beautiful. So I think, yeah, it's good. It's and it's crucial. Yeah, it's everything basically. You win or you learn.
That's right. And for me, from my perspective, again, for that grassroots, when generally it's the parents involved in the process, I feel like driving home, it gives them an opportunity to build a better relationship, to have that open conversation and to allow them to ask those kind of questions about their day. So yes, they do have a form, but ideally I kind of promote to the parents, ask the question so you have that conversation. So they're not sitting back and over analyzing what they did. Like you said, some people see their loss to be a failure, where it's actually not, because they might have started the day off at this position, like 20th, and then they finished in 15th, and they go, oh, I've only made 5 positions in the day. But there was actually so many positives of the day. They might have had the fastest lap of the race. No. They could have been, they could have beat the Australian champion, or, there's so many positives that people don't see it. And I feel like in society, as we've aged, that we don't look for those positives. So that's why.
That is absolutely brilliant. And, the Wright brothers that invented flying, basically, right? When they were up in the air for the first time, I believe they had 12 seconds in the air. And, everybody was saying, well, look, flying is never going to work. See, they crashed. They came down after 12 seconds. They're never going to do it. And they were like, hey, bro, we were up in the air for 12 seconds. This is freaking awesome. Let's do it again. Let's try it. Right? That's what they were focused on. And that's what it means to be like an optimist. Also very cliche, but that's what it is. You focus on what you want. You stick with your dream. And that is beautiful what you said. You focus on, because, you do something well all the time. Like as long as you're finding that and you focus on that, you keep doing that, it's just a matter of time, and time is working for you, which is what you want, right?
Yeah, and we're also very big at our team doing vision boards. And so, something that's only like done with pins, so that vision can change over time as you grow every month, every quarter. I'm very about being goals that are being able to be reset. And it's not a matter of, in December, setting out your goals for the next 12 months, that ideally like they can have a little bit of fluid to them, because things do change, and climate changes like COVID. We're just coming out of our 4th lockdown, so we've been in and out. So the industry as a whole has kind of been on eggshells, I guess, over the last 18 months around like when we can race and can't race. And so people have been restricted to what categories or races they wanted to actually perform in. So you might have had to change your goals from racing a national series to racing a state-based series. And that's still okay. And I think it's about giving yourself that permission to say it's okay if my goals do change. They don't have to stay there and, not be achieved. Goals are there just to be slightly tethered accordingly to life, really.
Yeah, I'm with you. The one thing I want to say with this, I 100% agree. And then also, I think it's beautiful, though, if you have a vision that is, because we always say, or I try to convey to my athletes, that your dream doesn't depend on the circumstances, So if there's somebody coming to me, say a football player, and he's saying, well, my dream is this, but now it doesn't work because of COVID. It's like, your dream shouldn't depend on the circumstances. But what you're saying is you have to adjust to that. Absolutely. But then it still helps to have like a vision of where you want to be in 5 years or in 10 years. You don't have to put a timeline on it, but just know what you want without looking at the circumstances that you have. Like, for example, if you're in motorsport, you need a lot of money, right? For the material and so on. So if you say, oh, I would want to be a Formula One driver, but I don't have the money to go there. It's like you limit yourself completely, because you never know. If you know what you want and you can convey that message and you carry yourself like that, all of a sudden you just need to meet one person that believes in you, and everything changes. Like literally your whole life. You can maybe not change the whole world, but for sure somebody can change your life completely, right? So one connection, one opportunity is all you need sometimes. So that's why you never want to limit yourself.
And so many Aussies that I know where they are today and previously have had just that one connection. And that's why I say to everybody, yes, you are a walking billboard, but not in the sense of wanting to, promote your services to everybody and promoting your sponsors, but you are in the sense that you're just wanting that one person that's really going to take an interest, because they do and they can change the path of your career.
That's right. And guess what? Those people will feel attracted to you as a driver if you know what you want, if you can be yourself, because you become very magnetic. Leaders are so magnetic because they know where they're going, and people want to follow them. People feel attracted to them, but you need to know what you want, and you got to be like, you want to be as much as of yourself as you, because then you can express yourself. If you don't worry about what other people think, and so you can just express yourself. And you might have some haters, but every person that is like, is going up there will have some people that have something to say, because nowadays everybody can do that from the internet, but it doesn't matter. So you want to know where you're going, because if you can convey that, if you have a dream and you can communicate that dream, it is just very, very, very magnetic. And people, the fact is, people want to help you. It's like they love helping you. So yeah.
And that's like one of the first things that we do with our clients in our career development program, which is our off-track development side of things, is that when people are looking for sponsorship, the first project we actually do is to identify your values.
Yeah, cool.
And people are like, what?
Yeah.
Why does my values make like any difference? How's that going to make me money? And it's like, because people invest in you. Like, it doesn't matter what you put in your presentation. It doesn't matter what your sponsorship packages are, but people are looking for who you are. And exactly what you're saying, David, about being authentic, and they want to know who you are. And so we do the values, and then I get them to write, a one paragraph to wrap up all of the important things of who they are, what they want to be known for. We do a whole project, like it's a full, we've got an online course, and we actually do a full module around that. And by the end of it, it should have like this one paragraph that should be everywhere on all their social medias, on all their LinkedIn. That's like, I am this, I believe in that, I want to be known for this, and this is what's important to me. And if you agree with me, I'd love to have you on board as a sponsor. But people don't comprehend the importance of those 3 or 4, easy questions to ask. But it's like, it's important because people need to know who you are.
Yeah. And that is so beautiful.
And they need to know as an athlete, who are they? Who do they want to be known as? And I say, do you want to be known as that dirty driver that always takes out drivers? Do you want to be known as the guy that's always on pole? Or do you want to be known as that friendly driver? Like, whatever you want to be known for, that's fine. But it's up to you to decide that. No one else can decide about it until you don't know what your purpose is. So you can't go and ask people to invest in you if you don't know who you are as a person when it comes to motorsports or to the sport.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah. And also if you make that decision, like based around values, you can even have different opinions, but if the values are the same, it's actually almost within a group, it's like magic, because I cannot expect that you and I have the same opinions on everything. But if we make our decisions based on shared values, then we can always make the best decision for the whole organization, like as a whole, right? And that's why the values, yeah, and it's one of those things, again, that school doesn't teach us. It's not like that they tell you how, take 2 hours and, sit down and think about what your values are, right? They don't do that. So we got to do it on our own. But it's like one of the most powerful things you can do, because you learn so much about yourself. And that's what it is. You want to learn who you are. You want to understand yourself, because when you understand yourself, you ultimately going to understand other people better as well. If you just, it's beautiful. I like that. How you guys start with that.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So David, you did mention before, like the power of, I guess, sports psychology is about learning and, just in bettering yourself. Do you have any avenues, books, resources, programs that people can look into, or what's your best way to learn more? Is it just about taking in content, or is it actually doing exercise?
You got to do it. Like with everything, you can't just sit there and watch. It doesn't work like that. So for example, every athlete that works with me one-on-one has to commit 10 to 15 minutes a day to do some kind of daily routine. Like, they can kind of choose what works best for them. I just give them the tools, but they have to use repetition, because there's so much power in repetition. Just think about every move that you mastered in life, you have mastered through repetition. There's literally not
racing, Dave, like the track, like they're doing, anywhere from 8 to depending on the race requirement, they could be doing 8 to 24 hours around the racetrack. So repetition is key.
Yeah, and motorsport knows that, right? So the coordination, hands, like everything is repetition, right? So, and it's with the mind, it's exactly the same thing. If you do it once a month, if you go to the gym once a month, nothing happens. If you go once a week, it's a bit better. But if you start to do it every other day, the growth is just phenomenal, right? So it's repetition. And the easiest way what I would recommend is, we have a YouTube channel. It's just a Tribe of Athletes. And I try to keep it very, engaging for like the younger audience, and make the videos not too long. Just like our chat here, we say, 20, 30 minutes is like a sweet spot. It's quite short on YouTube. So that's a good resource, I think, to get into it. And again, I'm just saying, try it on for size, and don't believe everything that I'm saying, and, just do your own research. And then the other thing is, we do a confidence, and we call it the Unshakable Confidence Workshop. It's free. We do that in July. And so if you go on thetribeofathletes.com, which is our website, you can register there. And that's like a 5-day event where we meet for an hour a day. And I think that's also a very cool place, because we have athletes and coaches coming together to develop those powerful mental habits for greatness. And the cool thing is, it allows us to do it with coaches and athletes together, because, some of those habits are very, very difficult to develop by our own. But if we come with the coach, if we come with the team, it's like a different story when everybody knows about it. So I think those two things would be good.
Fantastic. Yeah, we'll definitely put those links into today's show notes. So if you're interested, head over to the YouTube or the show notes and grab the link to sign up to David's course. David, we're hitting our time for tonight. Thank you for all of your insights. Do you have any last words of wisdom or advice you'd love to give our up-and-coming drivers?
Just thank you for having me. That was wonderful. And you have very good energy. You're a good host. And I wish you all the best. And let's stay in touch, huh?
I'm no journalist, but I am passionate about what I do. So
yeah. Isn't that what we need? Like the passion for what we do, love what we do, and then we stick with it. We're gonna get better. That's it. But you are already awesome. I'm just saying.
Thanks, Dave. Well, again, all of David's details will be in today's show notes, so please head over and check out his content. As I said, he does have a lot of free resources available, so both for coaches and athletes. Do you have any stuff around parents?
Not on the YouTube channel, and not
yet, but stay tuned. We'll have some stuff around the parents.
But I guess, look, Belinda, even for the parents, like, if you're learning about this, learn about this, listen to it. And then there's so much good content. There's books on this. I mean, just, get into it and see what it does to you.
Wow. It's just love to see how your life has transpired over the last 3 years since learning about sports psychology. It's very exciting. It's great to hear your passion as well. So I wish you all the best with all your athletes. Do you have any going to the Olympics?
We have an Olympic champ, so she's a mother of 3 as well. So let's see if she can do it again. Triathlon.
Oh, fantastic. One of my favorite sports. You'll have to give me her name later.
Yeah.
I'll be looking forward to it. Again, Dave, thank you very much for joining me tonight, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Ciao.
Well, thanks everyone for listening to this week's show. I really hope you enjoyed that one as much as I did. Now, remember, all the show notes with the links and the specials mentioned in today's show are available over at MotiV8Training.com.au. If you haven't already, I'd really appreciate it if you could head to iTunes or Stitcher, type in Motorsport Coaching, subscribe, and leave us a review. Each week, I'll read them out, and you'll go into a monthly draw to win a fantastic prize. If you have any questions or comments, please email us at MotiV8Training.com.au or head over to our Facebook page at MotiV8T. Until next time, take care.